right, today we're going to be talking about ratio, rate, and unit rate. Let's start by looking at what a ratio is. A ratio is a comparison between two numbers using division. There are three ways to write a ratio, so let's look at those. It says to express the ratio of 6 pounds to 15 ounces. So you can do a fraction, which is the most common way to write a ratio. And when you have a fraction ratio, as always when working with fractions, you should simplify if you can. For this particular one, you can divide the numerator and denominator by 3 to get 2/5. You can also write it with the word 2 in between or with a colon in between. But like I said, what we're going to be focusing on is the fraction way of representing a ratio. So it says ratios are most commonly written as fractions in our favorite simplest form. All right, let's talk about unit rate. A rate is a ratio, which we just talked about, that uses two different units of measurement. So you can see here we have 12 cupcakes that cost $5. So we can write that as a fractional ratio, saying $5 to 12 cupcakes. So that's just writing this relationship as a ratio. But if we want it to be a unit rate, so not just a rate, but a unit rate means how much for one. So that's when the denominator is 1. So think of unit rate as meaning how much for one. So if we can get 12 cupcakes for $5, the question is, how much would one cupcake cost? Because how much for one is the unit rate. So in other words, we're finding the price per one cupcake. So think about like you're simplifying this fraction. To get from 12 to 1, we have to divide by 12. So let's also divide the $5 by 12. Whatever you do in the numerator, if you're going to divide by 12 over 12 or multiply by 12 over 12, that's just 1. And that's a legal move in math to multiply or divide by 1. So let's divide 5 by 12. You can use a calculator as long as you show your work. So 5 divided by 12 on my calculator gives me 0.416 repeating. So we know that money goes to 2 decimal places, right? So when we're going to round to that second place, we're going to look at the number that's in the third spot, which is the 6. And since it's 5 or higher, we're going to round up to 42 cents. So it's about 42 cents per cupcake. All right, let's do some practice problems here. Write each rate as a unit rate. So if we have 156 students per class, or for 6 classes, we want to know how many students are just in one class. So we'd have to divide this by 6. We'll divide them both by 6. So 156 divided by 6 is 26. That means we have 26 students per class. If somebody makes $85 for 4 hours of work, $85 for 4 hours, if we want to know how much for 1 hour, we're going to divide by 4. And so 85 divided by 4 is $21.25. So this person makes $21.25 per hour. And by the way, whenever you have a rate with money, we always put the numerator as the money. We always put the money in the numerator, is what I mean to say, because we always want to know how much money per cupcake, like how much does one thing cost, or how much do you get paid per hour. So we always put money in the numerator for that. And lastly, 150 miles in 2.5 hours. We want to know how far did they go in 1 hour. To do that, I'd have to divide the numerator and the denominator by 2.5. So 150 divided by 2.5 is 60. So 60 miles per hour. And you can write it like 60 miles per hour like that, or you can say like $21.25 per hour. Sometimes you'll see unit rates written that way. All right, the last section in our notes is asking us which is the best deal. So to find out if you have the same product priced differently for different amounts, you can find the best deal by using unit rate. So we can say for a 10-ounce coffee, that's $3.40. Remember, we're always putting the money over how much we get. We're always putting the money over how much we get, the quantity. So we're going to check all of these out. If we want to know how much for 1 ounce of coffee for each of these scenarios, we're going to divide, really we're just dividing the numerator by the denominator, which is what we did in all of these problems above, right? So 3.40 divided by 10, we didn't even need a calculator for 0.34. And then $4.50 divided by 14 is a long decimal that I can round to 32 cents. And 635 divided by 18 is another long decimal that I can round to 35 cents. So which one's the best deal? So we like to think, oh, we're going to pick the highest number, that must be the best. But when we're talking about money and the best deal, you're going to want the cheapest. So the smallest number in this case is the best deal because it's the least amount of money per ounce of coffee. Thanks for watching.